PASCAL. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good afternoon. Good evening and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits because another day above the dirt is always a blessing, y'all. 'Tis always a blessing. Let's not forget that, y'all. Okay? Hopefully you guys are all doing fantastic. And this Saturday is treating you exactly how it should be treating you, which is absolutely fabulous, baby. Hopefully it's fabulous. Anyway, we got a thing to talk about. We got a few things to talk about. And the thing is I'm going to say this really quick. I'm confused. And I think a lot of y'all, I mean, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I feel that a lot of y'all are going to say the same damn thing. Like, y'all are confused too. Did this man... Did he make a mistake or no? We gonna talk about it because honestly, I am absolutely freaking confused. Okay, I am absolutely confused. Just to be completely real. Okay, but before we get into everything, we got to get into this. Hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you are watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, please be sure to hit that follow button. Don't forget to also hit that subscribe button as well. Subscribe here on this main channel. Go to my secondary channel because there's things that I've already talked about over there. Okay, there's some updates on Diddy and all that stuff as well. Please go over to the secondary channel. Crush that subscribe button over there. Make sure that notification bell is set to all on both platforms and set it to all so that you know when I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random and a lot of times it's breaking news stuff as well. Yesterday I was busy, so I couldn't get on the main channel. Yesterday was crazy. All right. And so busy taking care of other things. But I'm here to do some coverage on a bunch of things and then some revolving around this situation in Las Vegas. So make sure you subscribe. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com, okay? Got some really great stuff over there. All right, we're going to get straight into this. We got to get straight into the meat and potatoes because unbeknownst to me, like I said, it feels like I've been kind of out of disconnected from the loop here, revolving around these kinds of this particular case and the other one, the New Orleans case as well. There was a press conference yesterday where there was a lot more information that was given and shared in regards to what happened in Las Vegas. Now, there are a lot of things that have happened, a lot of developments that have happened. They have officially confirmed that this is indeed, the person's name is indeed Matthew Livelsberger. He was an active member of the military. He, of course, Green Beret, highly decorated, all this kinds of stuff. Now, what's interesting about what's happened as of late, there has been a couple different things that have dropped. One of them was an email sent to a former colleague or another soldier that I guess he was deployed with and is known. I guess you can consider this person a friend. I don't know. All I know is that there was an email sent to him, and there were some very interesting things being said in that email that just didn't. Well, it's weird, and it screams PTSD, maybe, and of course, being overwrought with guilt. Right now, this email was allegedly sent to this show called the Shawn Ryan Show. He's a podcaster, host of his own show. He's also a former Navy SEAL. So got lots of followers, got the huge platform, 3-point-something million subscribers, all that stuff. You name it, his platform is pretty big. Okay. And he's had some people on his show as of, over the past couple of years that have been movers and shakers saying things about what's going on in the world. In fact, there's one that was going on that happened about 3 weeks ago where he interviewed somebody from the CIA, a former CIA agent. And she said some things that just blew my wig back. And I ain't got no hair. Okay, real talk, blew my mind. And of course, we are going to look at that, I think, on another show, on a separate show, because we need to see not the whole show, but there's a clip that really just took me aback. Okay, it made me step back and go, whoa, because she has predictions for 2025 that are scary, to say the least. So we're going to talk about that in another show. I promise you, we will cover that as a family in another show, as long as there's no other people trying to set things off, if you get what I'm saying, or cause mass tragedies. But hopefully there won't be anything like that. Things have slowed down, I hope to God. Okay. But yes, we definitely are going to check that out for sure. But nonetheless, this past episode, they broke it down. They checked some things out. We're probably going to take a look at a little bit of it, not the whole doggone thing, because I have yet to see. It's like over an hour long. It's a long conversation, and we'll talk about that more in the future. And we'll look at that and take a look at a bit of it, not the whole thing, because it's such a long show. But they deep dive, because the person who received the email and the host of the show, Shawn, sit down and they analyze and they break down this email. And this email is very interesting. We're going to take a look at a little bit of it in a little while. It is weird. Okay? It is very weird. Then on top of it, there's been other things revolving around Matthew Livelsberger that is just so strange. Again, I keep looking at this and I'm like, so you really mean that this is, you really are telling me that because of drones in New Jersey, this caused this man to do what he did in Las Vegas? For real though? This is what is being said in this email that he sent to a former colleague. Huh? Then on top of that, there's a note that he left behind as well that was on his phone. And I know a lot of people are side-eyeing the hell out of that one, which we are going to talk about this in a little bit. This is what's on the docket for this show. And I'm going to try to make this show as short and sweet as I possibly can, even though there's a lot going on and there's a lot to break down. But first, we got to take a look at this particular press briefing, because this happened yesterday. I missed it, so I wanted to share it with y'all so we can all watch it together as a family. And then we're going to break down some more information, especially that note and all that. It's weird, y'all. It's weird. And I'm going, that doesn't make sense. I'm going to say right now, because I'm going to repeat myself a little bit later, and I don't care if you guys are, you always repeat yourself. I don't care, because it just doesn't make sense. So I got to say this right now. He's saying, rally behind Trump. Rally behind Trump and our elected officials that are coming in soon. Yet he still does the boom boom at Trump International Hotel in Elon Musk's own vehicle, the Tesla Cybertruck. Huh? Does that make any sense? Does that make any bloody sense, love? To me, it doesn't. Now, like I said, everyone is entitled to their own opinions and in their own theories. Sure, I might be wearing my tinfoil hat, but I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it tried and true. I'm wearing it with pride right now, because the math just ain't mathing. Then at the same time, you mean to tell me this whole thing, the stuff that happened in Vegas and the stuff that happened in New Orleans, are not connected at all? Within hours of each other, this situation went down. Then on top of that, He's got family members that are saying, at least an uncle, and I did this video. I talked about this on the secondary channel, but I'm going to briefly mention it right now. He got Unc out here saying, yeah, what he was doing was an act of peace. It was a peaceful act. Say what? Baby, say what? Make that make sense. It does not make any sense. So there's a lot of things that we got to talk about. A lot of things we're going to be breaking down. We got to talk about that. But again, what? He does that in front of a Trump International Hotel. He's driving Elon Musk's car, in which he turns into basically a car. Fill in the blank. Turns it into that. Elon Musk's car, which is basically Trump's new bosom buddy. All right? This is his boy. So again, like I said, what in the hell is going on here? Okay? Now, of course, I'm going to read some of your comments here. Mindy, on Facebook said, go and watch the Shawn Ryan episode with the man who received the emails. Yes, we are going to be looking at a bit of it, not the whole thing, because it's over an hour long. And like I said, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter show. And you know how it is when you react and you're putting in your 2 cents and all that stuff. It's really one that you just got to sit down and watch and react to in its entirety by itself, right? But we are going to listen to a little bit of it because I'm very interested to see what they have to say about all that too. Okay. They did the interview yesterday and it posted yesterday. I already know about that. They read the whole emails and he explained how and why the man who did why he did the boom boom. Well, then, because I understand from what they're saying, and I'll repeat this again later, I'm sure that this was a situation where he was overwrought by guilt, allegedly, for things that were done overseas when he was deployed that he saw with his own eyes. That he was triggered and deeply saddened because of the things that he saw. Civilians, innocent lives losing their lives, etc., over there when he was deployed in Afghanistan. But like I said, those things, it's interesting. I mean, and it's very blatant. Like, you don't need the Shawn Ryan show to explain that to you. He says it in the email, allegedly, because they're still trying to make sure that that email is authentic. So they're still trying to authenticate the email right now. As of yet, as far as I know so far, they have not confirmed whether this is really an email from him. I believe it is really from him, but you know what I mean. They got to do all these extra steps before everyone loses their minds. But nonetheless, it sounds like he was overwrought by guilt because of the things that he witnessed, the types of casualties of war when he was deployed. And a lot of those casualties, he's saying, were civilians, innocent lives, and he did not like that. But then it's like, it's a bit confusing, like I said, because I see somebody else, Bionic, is saying, this was a warning message, a warning message to Trump. I'm assuming you're saying to Trump, right? Now, if that is, this was a very choppy, fuzzy message that he's trying to say. You see what I'm saying? Because it's not like he said, see, now what happened was 7 years ago, this is the reason why I did the boom boom. He's not doing that. Therefore, warning to Trump and the administration, please be careful out here. Don't cause more casualties and so on and so on. He's not really saying that. You see what I'm saying? He's not saying that blatantly. So, of course, everyone's like, what is the message? What is the message here? Then it's in front of Trump Tower or Trump International Hotel in a Tesla. It's very interesting. It's just very interesting. Now, whether he's a whistleblower, Sunshine just said he's a whistleblower. Okay. But if he is a whistleblower, then what whistle is he blowing? Real talk, I'm just curious. What is it that he's whistleblowing? The fact that there were mass casualties of innocent lives when he was deployed. But isn't that something that we already know? Wouldn't we already know that? I mean, let's be real. Come on now. War is never clean. So isn't that something that we should already know? Now, I understand him being overwrought by guilt for seeing those things with his own two eyes. Absolutely. I can see that for sure. But what is he whistleblowing? It's something that we already know. Unless he's saying, I'm seeing war crimes and they're not being taken accounted for, or they're not being accounted for. That's a problem. You see what I'm saying? So interesting stuff, right? Interesting stuff. But let's get into this, okay? Let's get into this. Let's take a look at this press conference right quick. All right. Appreciate all y'all for being here. Real quick, let me get this one real quick. Kimberly, thank you so much. Thank you so much for gifting 5. Mora, thank you. Thank you so much. And Rianne, thank you so much to all 16. Wow, 16 in the house, 16 new members. Thank you so much. Welcome to the family, every last one of y'all. And you got 16 people that just got gifted some beautiful things. All right, like some positivity from all these 3 beautiful individuals. All I ask, especially right now more than ever, we are starting off 2025 pretty crazy. Please pay it forward. All right, do something nice for somebody. Open the door for somebody. It could be something as simple as that. You know, as you're in the kitchen making a sandwich, and make the sandwich for your loved one. I was just making a sandwich. Just wanted to give it to you. That's it. Didn't need to ask them for it. Just give it to them. Oh, wow. I wasn't really hungry, but I'll eat this later. Whatever it may be. Just pay it forward. Okay. And hopefully people will pay that they'll feel that positivity and give it to somebody else. Okay. That's all I ask. Bit by bit, we're going to try to change the world one small good deed at a time. But let's get into this, okay? And keep the super chats coming. If you have thoughts on all this, we will talk about all of this very, very soon. Let's get into this, though. Come on. And I might speed up this too, just to shorten this, because it is pretty.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kevin McMahill. I'm the sheriff for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Over the last couple of days, since the bombing and death of the individual inside of the Tesla at Trump Towers, had a number of priorities that we've been trying to accomplish over those days. The first one of those priorities was to confirm that there's no further threat. I think we've completed that. The second was to positively identify the suspect. We've also done that today. I can confirm that that is Matthew Livelsberger. We also wanted to confirm that there were no other actors involved in this incident. I believe we've done that, and you'll hear much more about that as we move forward today. We've also today, I'm going to be able to share with you some of what we believe to be his plans and motives as to why he conducted this attack. Now, before we go on, I want to just address a couple of things before we get too far along here. I want you to know that we're very well aware of a podcast that is going around today and the contents of the letter in that podcast. And I just want you to understand that since we've been conducting these press conferences, I have only given you information that we have verified and deemed to be factually accurate. We've been aware of that document for a while now, and we still have not completely gone all the way through that and verified that entirely. We are in one of the 2 telephones and 1 laptop. So 1 telephone and 1 laptop that we still have not been able to get into. There is 1 cell phone that we are getting into, and I can tell you that we are barely scratching the surface and almost hourly receiving additional information requiring substantial investigative effort on the part of this joint investigation between ourselves, the FBI, and the ATF. And so, again, while I understand all of that is out there, I believe it is our responsibility to give you what we know to be a fact, and that is what I will continue to do as we move forward. A couple of questions came up in regards to the positive identification of the suspect in the vehicle. I want to give you a couple of photographs as to what it was that we had some conversation around, because there's some tattoo comparisons that we needed to do. And in those tattoo comparisons, in this particular photograph, you can see a tiger tattoo, and there's a secondary tattoo on the stomach that the wife had told us about. You can see that some of it is burnt, some of it is not burnt. And while the body was still in the vehicle, we were unable to identify those specific tattoos until we were able to remove some of it. Secondarily to that, there's also a surveillance photograph that we obtained of our subject in Colorado wearing that very distinctive brown jacket. You'll see that a little bit later here in some of the photographs that one of the assistant sheriffs is going to talk to you about. There's also a lot of conversation that I hear out there about the fact that the identifications, the credit cards, and the number of things that I provided to you previously did not show up as burnt in the explosion in the vehicle. And so I did think it was important for me to address a couple of those issues so you understand where we're at. That's a photograph of the wallet. It's a leather wallet. Clearly it's burnt up pretty well. However, that wallet was found in the back seat under some debris in the vehicle, and it contained, you'll see in this photograph, the credit cards, so a photograph, and a number of other pieces of identifying information. The military identification that I initially told you about was also located within inches of the wallet. And you'll see much of this stuff does have some burn damage on it. The passport that I described to all of you was found in the back, in the bed of the truck under debris as well. And you'll see a photograph of that in there. I also had mentioned to you that we were going to be doing dental records to identify the subject in the vehicle. The Department of Defense provided those dental records to us. We then forwarded them to the coroner, and the coroner also provided a positive identification for us. Finally, we had also requested DNA from the family, which was provided to us, and it matched to our suspect. We then, of course, had now confirmed fully his identity to you. There has been, again, a tremendous amount of investigative effort that has been conducted now, and I'm going to introduce to you Assistant Sheriff Dory Corrin to go over some of the extensive investigation that has occurred. Dory?
Good afternoon. I'm Assistant Sheriff Dory Corrin. I oversee our Homeland Security and Investigative Services group, which includes our counterterrorism unit that's been working around the clock on this investigation. I just want to briefly share a few updates on some key areas to include the operational activity that led up to this incident, a little bit of information on the post-blast investigation as we know it today, and then finally some of the information that we're discovering most recently about motives and plans to give you some insight on why this individual committed the act that he committed. To begin with the operational activity, the sheriff yesterday talked about the route that the suspect took to get to Las Vegas. We used a lot of this information to be able to track down video surveillance footage around different locations, as well as financial records, as well as call data records, as well as looking at the Tesla charging stations to be able to determine exactly which route the individual took, but more importantly, that it was the individual that we've identified, as well as the only individual in the vehicle during the path that he took to Las Vegas. As you'll see here in this video here at one of the charging stations, there's just one example. You'll see our suspect here. He'll exit the vehicle. He'll walk around the vehicle at different times. At one point, you're going to see that he opens the door of the vehicle. He retrieves a coat. He puts that coat on, and you're going to see that at different parts to include the photo that the sheriff talked about just a few minutes ago. We use this video information as well as what I said earlier about the financial records in terms of purchases being made with different credit cards, call data records, a video canvas at multiple locations, trying to use all of that to corroborate that the individual that we've identified is the same individual that drove that Tesla during that route that we've identified to Las Vegas. In addition to that, we also talked about the phones that were recovered. There were 2 phones that we recovered from the vehicle. Both phones were damaged. We are still trying to access the data in one of the phones, but we have been fortunate in our team, which is second to none, has done a really good job accessing the data in one of the phones that was recovered. You can see the phone here in the vehicle. It's very burnt from the outside. You can see another image here, but we're able to take this phone and be able to extract the data using a variety of different tools. And in that, we've identified a variety of information, but one thing in particular is there was an application in there that the suspect used to take notes. In that application, one of the notes is titled Surveillance Log by the Suspect. It appears to be more of a journal of activity. It dates for about 10 days leading up to the incident, from December 21st to December 31st of this past year. In that surveillance log, or as we would like to call it, a journal, because it's more of a diary of activity that he's conducting, we identify multiple locations that match what we have in the route. We identify activity that we've matched. So for example, him purchasing firearms, him purchasing camping equipment or other types of equipment that were used in this incident matched what our data showed in terms of the route and the video surveillance we were recovering along that route. Beyond the operational activity, I want to also get a little bit into the post-blast investigation. So make no mistake, this is a suicide vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, or short, it's a suicide VBID. We know also, as mentioned by the sheriff yesterday, there was a self-inflicted gunshot wound by the suspect. The coroner was very specific in their examination. It was an intraorbital gunshot wound, which essentially means that the suspect put the firearm in his mouth and discharged the gun, and ultimately the round came out to the left side of his head. In addition to that, in terms of our assessment of the post-blast to confirm that he's the only individual involved and the only individual in the vehicle, we did a variety of video and photo comparisons to match the clothing. So if you look here, for example, this is a video in Las Vegas, and you're going to see in a moment here where he parks the Tesla truck. He comes out, and you're going to see some descriptive clothing that matches some of the other video that we've recovered along the route. Please keep in mind, this is a very extensive investigation, so there's a lot of content for us to review and examine. We're just showing examples and samples as we get them. There's more information as we go through it. But in this video, you can see even the distinctive jacket that he is wearing in that vehicle. The other thing that's important is the sheriff mentioned yesterday that Tesla sent to us engineers to come to Las Vegas to help us extract data from the vehicle. Thanks to their support, we were able to extract an SDMI chip from the Tesla vehicle, and Tesla was able to confirm to us using the data from the vehicle that the vehicle was not in full self-driving mode at any time during this incident. Finally, the last category just to touch on is motive, which I know everyone is very eager to try to understand and be able to explain what happened.
So
I'll reiterate what the sheriff said is we still have a large volume of data to go through and a lot of content to go through. As you know, with any one of our devices, there's thousands, if not millions, of videos and photos and documents and web history and all of those things that need to be analyzed. But with that, just as a preview for as we get information, we're trying to be as transparent as possible. There were a couple pieces of content we thought were important to share for now. One is in the note application, he seemed to have 2 letters. One letter in particular, as you can see here, this is an excerpt from that letter. He says, fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. He goes on to explain a variety of other grievances and issues, some political, some personal, a variety of other things, which we will do our best to release very quickly here. But then there's a second letter where there's some more excerpts. This one seems to be dated after the fact in that notes application. And in there, you can read a couple of the excerpts. We are the United States of America, the best country, people to ever exist. But right now, we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Why did I personally do it now? I need to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the lives I took. I'd like to just also expand on that and understand that these are just excerpts. In there, he does offer additional information that is varying on the spectrum in terms of political grievances, issues about the conflicts elsewhere, not here, domestic issues, societal issues, a variety of other things, including personal challenges as well. We are intending to release those initial letters so people can understand the best they can what the person's thought process was at one point in time. However, please understand there is still a lot more content to go through, and that may change. There may be a lot more information that we recover that explains either more or shows a change in mindset at different times. Just before I turn it over to FBI Special Agent Spencer Evans, I just want to take a note and just mention what the sheriff said, which is our counterterrorism section and all of the people involved in this have been working around the clock 24/7, tirelessly, truly through the night. They are second to none, and we really appreciate everything they're doing. With that, turn it over to the FBI.
Good afternoon. My name is Spencer Evans. I serve as the special agent in charge of the FBI's Las Vegas division. I'd like to express gratitude for everyone that's here today, and especially the partnerships that Sheriff Corrin just highlighted. It's been seamless collaboration between the FBI, ATF, Army, CID, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. You know, if you walked into one of the command posts and someone's not wearing a uniform, you wouldn't be able to tell who works for which agency. And it's been outstanding collaboration. We do have significant updates that we're sharing with you from an investigative standpoint, but just want to reiterate, as Sheriff Corrin mentioned, there is still a lot of ongoing investigation. We have terabytes of data that we have to analyze. We have outstanding search warrants and subpoenas, interviews that are being conducted around the globe as we try to paint a comprehensive picture of exactly what happened. That being said, we do feel confident that we have a much better sense of how we arrived at the events of the 1st of January and additional information that we can provide. So I'd like to first begin by addressing something that continues to be widely speculated, whether or not there was any connection between what happened in New Orleans on New Year's Day and then the incident here in Las Vegas just a few hours later. Just to be clear, there is no evidence that these two events are connected. The only things that we have connecting them are incidental, what we believe to be coincidental similarities in that both vehicles were rented through the same service, that they were both subjects served in the military, that they both stayed at an Airbnb, things like that. We've identified no telephonic or email communication between the subjects, no information that suggests that they knew each other, that they ever served in the same unit, that they were ever assigned at the same place at the same time and had interaction, and no witness interviews have corroborated or provided any information that the two events are connected in any way. In similar fashion, we have not identified any connection between this subject and any other terrorist organization. During the FBI's international investigation to date, as I mentioned, we have interviewed family members, friends, the subject's associates, and military members that he served with around the globe. Through these interviews, we've found that the subject held no animosity towards the president-elect. That's something that's also been reported. Investigative steps have discovered, and information from the Army indicates that he likely suffered from PTSD. And
Okay, hold on. Okay, so that's very interesting, though, because you know for a fact. Okay, not only are they saying that he had no grudge against Trump, and that they're saying that he was a Trump supporter. I've been seeing reports of that as well. That, I think, for people who are easily susceptible to just finding something like, clearly this man was not trans. Clearly this man is not a migrant. Clearly this is a American man, right? But what's interesting is in the very beginning, people were very quick to sit there and go, oh, he's one of those crazy leftists. Now we're hearing that he is in fact supporting Trump. If these notes are really real, he's actually saying rally behind him. Rally behind Trump. Very interesting, right? The narrative has changed and has shifted. The tides have changed very, very quickly. So even the people who are very hardcore supportive of Trump that have been on the internet saying all kinds of crazy stuff, now I'm sure they're all going, wait, I'm confused now too. I'm sure everybody's confused right now because it just doesn't make sense. Now I get it. He definitely sent out a message with that car going off with him in it. Absolutely. But what is the actual message? Is it just what was in the notes? Is it just what's allegedly was emailed to a colleague of his? I don't know. But I think a lot of people are very confused. And yeah, I'm already seeing people say that as well on the internet, that, Kicking It is saying, that it's an absolute cover up. I've been seeing a lot of people say that as well, because I mean, maybe it is true that he's a Trump supporter. I don't know. But like I said, why would he do that right in front of Trump's hotel? The other thing is also, we learned yesterday, or the last time they had a press conference, that he had enough in there to really do some damage. And in my mind, my thoughts is he was trying to do more damage to that building too. He wanted to take people out, not only just himself, but other people too. Maybe take out the whole front of the hotel, because he had enough in there to do a much bigger explosion, but it didn't happen. That did not happen. So again, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Ra, the creator, just said, I said about 90% of our troops suffer from untreated PTSD. They need help healing. Absolutely. They absolutely do. If this is what it is, then that's what it is, right? If it's just PTSD, then wow, that's intense. And I pray for all of our veterans. But at the same time, that still does not excuse what happened here. What happened here is very serious. And I keep wondering, was there any signs as far as the wife, or even the ex-wife, or even any of his friends? Because I mean, he had to have gone and gotten the car and left. He left days before New Year's Eve. So he didn't have friends and family wondering where he was. And I just saw somebody else say in the chat, and Royal just said, why not go through the lobby then? Why did he have to do that? If he thought that he was going to do some serious damage, it doesn't matter if he drove through into the lobby of the building or not. It doesn't matter. He still would have hurt people. There were still people that got hurt. Yes, there were minor injuries, thank God. But at the same time, he was out there. If he didn't want to hurt nobody, he would have driven this out in the middle of the field, in the middle of the desert, pulled over on the side of the road and just set the thing off. He didn't do that. Period. He didn't do that. He pulled up in the hotel where there's other people, innocent lives, and then set the thing off. Like I said, make it make sense. It's not. There are too many conflicting things going on simultaneously throughout this thing. That's why I'm like, this one is the weirdest one. The New Orleans one is wild too, but this one is like, what? If he was trying to say something, then he's off. Okay? If he was trying to say something, then his message is completely off, because no one's getting it. No one's getting it because of what we're seeing at face value, right? So, crazy. But let's continue on. Hit that like button down below, guys. Do not forget. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, crush it, crush it. Come on, y'all. All right, where we at right now? Where we at? Hit that like button. Where we at? Oh my Lord. Come on. Let's get it to can we get it to 800 likes? Can we get it to 800 likes, please and thank you? All right. Don't forget to subscribe. All right. We're going to continue on. Let's rock and roll.
We are also aware that there were potential other family issues or personal grievances in his own life that may have been contributing factors. Again, we're looking into all of that. It's evident that the subject considered.
Hold on. Let me roll that back a little bit. I also find it interesting that both men were going through some sort of marital issues, whether it's like, a divorce or, whatever it may be. I just think it's very interesting that now, like, I don't know. It just seems interesting. Oh, the grievances of marriage. Therefore, I'm just going to drive over to the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas and and become a Terry. It just I don't know, y'all. It just nah.
Or personal grievances in his own life that may have been contributing factors. Again, we're looking into all of that. It's evident that the subject considered, planned, and thoughtfully prepared for this act alone. That's what we believe, and we have no information to the contrary at this point.
Okay.
The FBI has been able to confirm some of this through the utilization of video footage in public areas as he traveled from Denver to Las Vegas. We have video footage that shows that he is alone outside of the vehicle, and that corroborates, again, what Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department footage has also shown. The FBI, as the sheriff indicated, facilitated obtaining DNA from a family member that was able to be conclusively matched to confirm the subject's identity. As Sheriff Corrin mentioned, although this incident is more public and more sensational than usual, it ultimately appears to be a tragic case of suicide involving a heavily decorated combat veteran who is struggling with PTSD and other issues. Yesterday, I wanted to highlight, I mentioned a tip that was unverified that the FBI had received. Sheriff McMahill will talk about this. It's now floating around there on podcasts. This is a tip that the FBI received after the bombing occurred that seemed to describe some of the personal grievances that the subject may have held. We still have not conclusively determined that that's from the subject, but feel confident based on evidence that we're uncovering on his devices that was in fact from Livelsberger.
Okay.
I want to reiterate that, prior to this incident, the FBI did not have any information on this subject. He was not on our radar. He didn't have criminal history. There was nothing that we would have been looking into him for up until this point. Last thing I just wanted to highlight briefly is it's not lost on us. We understand that there were victims. While the subject himself was the only person that was deceased, there were several folks that were injured. And obviously, any sort of incident like this has a traumatic impact on the greater community and folks that are rightly so going to be scared and concerned, and some people that were inconvenienced and some that were taken to the hospital with injuries. We'd like to remind everyone that we're working with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department advocates, the Office of Emergency Services advocates, and the Southern Nevada Resiliency Justice Center to offer services to these victims. We recognize that there may be victims that are yet unidentified. So for those that might be suffering or otherwise impacted, we'd ask you to reach out to the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. And in similar fashion, as we reiterated yesterday, anyone who has tips related to the subject or this particular incident, please call us at 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Assistant Special Agent in Charge from the ATF, Kenny Cooper.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kenny Cooper. I'm an Assistant Special Agent with ATF San Francisco Field Division. I have some very quick resource updates. ATF has brought in some of our top experts from our national response team that will assist with the sifting through the debris of the Tesla. And that's an abundance of caution to make sure that we've got the initiation sequence identified as best we can from the evidence that survived the thermal event of this explosion, and to ensure that no other bad actors were involved in the initiation of that device. Also, my second update is to the firearms purchased by our subject on December 30th, 2024. Our ATF investigators were able to track down that lawful purchase at a gun store in Colorado. Our subject arrived in that gun store by himself on December 27th and initiated the ATF Form 4473 and actually paid for those two firearms that were recovered from the Tesla on the 27th, and was sole occupant of a vehicle arriving and departing that on that date. And then on the 30th, we have video evidence of our subject entering that gun store as the sole occupant of the Tesla. He actually received and transferred those 2 firearms and took into his possession at that time, and departed as the sole occupant in the Tesla. Those are the 2 updates that I'm here to provide to you at this time. Thank you.
Okay. He operated alone. He operated alone. He operated alone. Did they just say that he operated alone? Yeah, they said he operated alone so far. So again, just because he operated alone on this particular mission does not mean that the missions that happened in New Orleans and here in Vegas aren't connected. Again, let me just say this, okay? I got to say it. I'm going to say it right now. And I've said it a billion times. I've said it on the secondary channel. I'm saying this on the main channel too. F it, I don't care. I've said it before too. I don't give a damn. So, just because these guys operated alone on their specific monstrous acts does not mean that there isn't a possibility that they worked in unison. That's it. Sure, he went in here, got the thing, got some boom booms, got some pew pews, got the Tesla, drove off and did his thing. Does not mean that he didn't have any type of connection with what was going on in New Orleans. Let me just say this too. I know maybe it really is just a straight up coincidence. Maybe that is what it is. Okay, we still have to leave that on the table. But for some odd reason, in my heart of hearts, what I feel all the way down to my plums tells me different. These are 2 individuals that served in the same branch, military branch, Army. They were deployed around the same time to Afghanistan. They were at Fort Bragg, which I get. That Army base is big. But at the same time, these 2 were there around the same time and they're not connected. I don't know, guys. I know some people don't believe that it's connected, but I do believe that there's something. There's something here. It's something odd. Something very, very odd about this one. Just me. That's just me. I will say if I'm wrong, if that ever is exposed, the full truth. But there's something about this that seems a bit weird. And then, of course, we're starting to hear some things about Ryan Routh, the person who was hiding out in the bushes trying to take out Trump in the bushes in Florida. Okay, something about Ryan Routh being at Fort Bragg as well at some point. It's odd that, and I get it that Fort Bragg is a very big, very popular Army base, but it just seems a bit weird that 2 Army vets do this thing on the exact same day within hours of each other. Very odd. Just very odd. But let's continue on. Let's continue on. And of course, I'm going to say this too, because people are like, can you just please reiterate? Yes, I'm going to watch the doggone thing. Okay. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not watching the whole thing. I'm only watching a little bit of it. Okay. I may do a whole standalone show where we watch the whole podcast together. Okay. Well, let me make that abundantly clear. Not watching the whole doggone thing. I'm only watching a tidbit of it. Okay. Let me just say that really quick because everyone's like, Shawn Ryan podcast, Shawn Ryan podcast, Shawn Ryan podcast. I got you. But we ain't watching the whole doggone thing. The thing is it's a long episode. And I think it needs and deserves its own time under the sun. Okay. But we will watch a little bit of it for sure. Everyone chill. Chill the beans. Chill the mother effing beans. Let's continue on. One thing at a time, guys. One thing at a time. Love you.
All right, with that, we'll entertain a couple of questions. If you could, please identify yourself, and we'll go from there. David?
David Two quick questions. One, the video that you showed of him with the Tesla, Tesla was able to extract that for you from the device, from the cart. The video you showed him walking around at the charging station.
Yeah, so let me just, the question was, can we, the video that we show, sorry, I was standing back there, so I wasn't sure which one you were looking at, but the question is, the video that we showed at the Tesla charging stations, who provided that to us? I'll let Dory answer that.
Without getting too far into the technicalities, there are various components in there that were retrieved. The SDMI card, it was not where the video was retrieved from. That was where we got the data to be able to determine that it was not in self-driving mode. However, Tesla did provide and helped our team be able to recover the thumb drive that records other types of data to include video by the Tesla.
In what state is this in?
Kingman, Arizona.
Second question is about the detonation. There's a lot of questions. How was he able to die by suicide and set this off? Can you just in very basic terms explain how that could happen to kind of stop these conspiracies that he's done?
Yeah, so the second question is how are we able to explain the detonation versus the suicide? And we just believe it to be simultaneous at the time of the detonation. But again, that's why the ATF's bringing in the SABTs from outside to look at what that sequence was for the initiation of the explosion as well. And you know, it's very difficult to see inside of those Teslas, even with the camera angles that we have. And so we still remain challenged on finding some of that exact timing on all of that. Go ahead. Hi, Stephanie.
Word. Whole other TV
So the question
show.
is, if we knew of a alias of Matthew Berg and he had been previously on a television show, we've seen that reporting, but have not verified that reporting. Behind you.
Kevin Knives with NBC News. How would you describe his state of mind in these final days, given everything that you read from his note app and the manifesto that you see that you referenced going around the podcast? Have you guys been able to rule out that it was not from him, or is it still up in the air that it could have been from him?
So the question is, how would I describe his state of mind in the manifesto that was described on the podcast? Have we been able to determine whether that was from him or not? And I'll answer the first part is, I'm not comfortable giving you state of mind just yet. I certainly am leaning a particular way. But again, I'd like to be factual to you. I think when you read the documents that we're going to give you a link to at the end of this press conference, that you can go in and make some of your own assumptions about what that is. But I will tell you that part of my hesitation on that is I know that we have a lot more documents and number of things for us to uncover. And so I want to be able to provide to you only the factual information when I have it. And so I'm not going to opine on what I believe his state of mind was at that particular time, but certainly you can see some troubling aspects in his personal life as well. And I don't know if you want to address the second part, Spencer.
Yeah, so in terms of the so-called manifesto that's circulating online, we have strong evidence to suggest that it was the subject that wrote it, but we haven't conclusively proven that yet. And that evidence relates to other evidence that we're finding that we're able to compare that lead us to believe it was in fact him who sent it.
J1? Is it J1?
Yes, J1
Okay.
from 13. Do you have an update on the conditions of the other people who were injured?
The question is, do I have any updates on the conditions of the people who were injured? And I'm told that they're all relatively minor injuries and they've all been released from the hospital.
Kristen Drummond with News 3. As you were showing us these excerpts, can you say why definitively he chose the Trump International Hotel and why he decided to come here to Las Vegas?
Yeah, the question is, with the excerpts that we showed, can we definitively identify why he chose the Trump Hotel Tower location as well as Las Vegas? And the answer is no. In fact, I think when you read through some of that, you might find that there were some other considerations as well for other locations. And we can't verify all of that at this point, and so that's why I haven't talked about that publicly.
Exactly. Allegedly, from what he said in that letter that he sent to his colleague, he even said something about getting to Mexico. And so in my mind, I'm like, what? So was he thinking of like detonating at the border to make a statement there? What exactly was he doing, right? So again, I'm wondering really what's going on, especially when the law enforcement is saying in their own mouth, from their own mouth, that it looked like he had plans on going elsewhere. He had other destinations that he had in his mind, but he ended up going to Vegas instead. Like I said, it's very interesting, very odd, very interesting, but let's continue on.
What other locations he was considering, and were they here in Nevada?
There was one location in Grand Canyon that was specifically talked about there, but we haven't been able to verify anything as well. All the way in the back.
Then you said when you got with when you saw Las Vegas, you were taking my question. In regards to what happened in New Orleans, I know that you guys mentioned it's a coincidence, but what main evidence makes it different to what occurred over there? That it's not being considered a terrorist attack here.
So the question is why don't we consider what happened in New Orleans and what happened in Las Vegas connected? And the simple answer to that is we don't find anything to actually point us in that direction. There are those coincidences that we have spoken very openly about, but we have not found throughout this entire investigation anything that ties the two attacks directly together. Go ahead in the back. So the question is, were we able to identify the types of explosives that were in the vehicle and where he was able to find those? There's a mortar type fireworks in the back of the vehicle, some camping fuel. And we do know that it looks like from that document that we're going to provide to you that he may have stopped outside of a location in New Mexico and obtained those fireworks legally. But that is another aspect of the investigation that continues. I know.
Thanks for taking my question. We've heard that the suspect wasn't opposed to President-elect Trump. Do we know anything about what his political views were?
The question is that we know that we've said that he was not opposed, the suspect was not opposed to President-elect Trump. And do we know what his political views are or were? There's a variety of different reporting out there, Noble, on what that is and some of the people around him and what their particular political views were. I think when you read some of these documents, you'll see that he actually calls it a stunt in one of these documents that we're going to release to you, that he was trying to get the attention of the American people because he was upset about a number of different things. But I'll let those writings speak for themselves. I'm not conclusively telling you anything about his political affiliations at this point, but I think that's more to come on that. Sir?
CBS News. Talk to us about this. You have an individual who is obviously struggling with mental health here, a member of the military service. There are others out there who may be struggling with this, a lot of mental health issues here. When they read these letters that you're about to release, how do you quell others who are struggling with the same from carrying out and seeing this as an inspiration? How do you quell the copycats out there?
Yeah, so the question is obviously there's mental health involved in this, as we've already talked about, and how do we quell the others that are similarly situated to him out there in America. And I think Spencer rightly talked about this for a moment is what you can tell by looking at this, that PTSD from a highly decorated United States currently serving military individual, from what I'm told was 5 tours of combat, obtained some of the highest awards you can get. It's not much different, quite frankly, than the reasoning why we started our wellness bureau here at Metro and taking care of the heart, mind, body, and soul of the people that are out there doing this work, because they're exposed to things, they see things, they hear things, they feel things, and they smell things that most normal people don't have to do. And the heroes that are serving in the military and on the front lines of America's policing are challenged that way. And so I think, we need to really pay attention to those individuals, pay attention to what mental health in America looks like. And I think this is just one more incident that brings that to the forefront of where it is that we are in talking about these types of things. I'll take one more. Sure.
Yeah, good question. Why the Cybertruck?
The Shawn what? Is that the name of it? Yeah. So can I tell you why he chose the Cybertruck is the question, the first question? No, not really. I haven't been able to find anything definitive about it. Secondly, is it the Shawn Ryan podcast? And yeah, that's the podcast that I'm referring to. And I'm sorry, there was one more hand over here that, go ahead. Hi.
Has there been any more speculation, more understanding on why he chose the route that he chose? Obviously, coming from Colorado, you can go through Utah. That's a more common way to hit the 15. Any more understanding when we're thinking about all the different potential sites that he could have chosen for this?
So the question is do we know why he chose the route that he chose? I don't think we can tell you we know why he chose it, but I can tell you that there's some writings in those documents that we're going to release to you that he mentioned going to the border as well as going to the Grand Canyon. And so we continue to look through all of the available evidence to help us answer that question better. And with that, I'd just like to, again, thank you all for the great work you're doing in helping us get this story out. And obviously, as we get additional information, we'll push it out to you. Thank you.
Okay. Now, again, a lot of it, I feel like, meh, you know, they obviously don't have a whole lot of answers yet. As far as law enforcement goes, I don't know if it's them trying to find an excuse, trying to find time to cook up an excuse. I don't know. You know, obviously I'm not law enforcement. I don't have what they have in their hands and the information that they actually have in their possession. But something still is odd about this. I will say that something is very, very, very odd about this. Now, some may agree with me on that. Some may sit there and go, well, that's what it is. There's nothing more to it. We don't really need to reinvent the wheel here. It is what it is. What they found is the truth, and they're giving us the truth. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that they're lying. I'm not. All I'm saying is that I am side-eyeing the information that's being said out here thus far. Now, thing is, okay, and yes, we are going to look at some of because I know I got a super chat here. We are, and it not because of the super chat, but still, I know everybody wants me to check out this Shawn Ryan thing. Don't worry, we are going to look at that, okay? So, Carla, thank you so much for both super sticker and super chat, okay? We are going to be looking at it. Don't worry, we are. We're not looking at the whole thing. Let me repeat that. I will play a little bit of it, and then I will most likely be doing a full show to watch the entire thing together as a family because I think it deserves some time by itself, okay? And it deserves some time by itself so we can watch that and consume it in its entirety so we can understand everything. But we are going to play a little bit of that. And that's what I said in the very beginning of the show. That's that's on the docket for today's show. All right. But as far as this goes, this press conference, it is still very questionable on what actually happened here and why it went down the way it went down. I am still kind of curious as to why he chose a mother-loving Tesla when he could have used any other car under the sun. Why did he choose that? Why? That's one piece that still has not been answered, right? Now, let me play this. Hold on, let me play this for you guys. This is up kind of hot. This is kind of loud. So let me just share with you guys this too, okay? This is from news, okay? It's a news clip, but I want to share this with you guys, okay? Because again, you know, I do think that this is, it's odd, guys. It just doesn't make sense to me, okay? But before we get into that, let me get some of these super chats really quick. Kimberly in Japan, thank you so much for the love. Happy New Year, Pascal and fam. Love y'all and wishing the best 2025 for you all. Yes, thank you so much. Happiest of New Year's to you, Kimberly, and to everybody else. Yes, Happy New Year to everybody. Please be safe out there. It is absolutely crazy. It's only going to get even more insane. All I can say is just be safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel. I know I keep saying that all the time, but let's be real. Stay vigilant. People are out here acting a damn fool for no reason, y'all. Okay? For whatever political reasons and all that. Like I said, like what are we in Sarajevo now? Like what's going on now? Because in various places in our country right now, we're dealing with mass tragedies. There was another tragedy that happened last night in DC as well, guys. In DC, if I'm correct, 4 people were hit. 4 individuals were hit late at night. It's crazy. Crazy. Beautiful Messy Ball. Thank you so much. Live 2 blocks from the beach, New Jersey, or New Jersey Beach, or whatever. The drones are coming from the ocean. That's interesting. I've been watching them on the beach and watch them fly by. Something weird is going on. I don't know what, but it's weird. I agree. Something really weird is going on, and I don't know why it's going on the way it is going on. What's up with this, and why is it happening right now? I know the drones are a big thing. People are all talking about that. Okay, yeah, I did bring up an oldie dolphin when I said Sarajevo. Is this Sarajevo all over again? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, is our country going to turn into just one big old war zone? I don't want that. I don't want that. I know for damn sure you don't want that either. So everybody, we need to figure out a way to chill out. Really scary, guys. Scary. Let me get one more. Okay, one more here. Kimberly, thank you so much. And here's for Queen Pascal and Princess Pascal and the new one coming. Thank you so much. Okay, thanks for supporting Pascal always. Yes, to all you guys. Thank you so much to all you. And all the support. It really does mean a lot. All right. And I do have some other super chats and members chats. I'm going to get to those in just a minute, but let's get into this news clip for sure. Let's get into this conversation. But yeah, I don't want our country to become riddled with just war on domestic soil. And I mean, there's already civil wars going on online, people going in on each other because of various for various things that might be passed when Trump is inaugurated, comes into office and all that stuff. I mean, it's absolutely crazy right now. And so I'm hoping everyone just takes a chill pill, all right, and goes back to peace and love again.
New clues into why a Green Beret set off a homemade bomb outside of Trump Tower. Thanks for joining us here at 4. I'm Heather Mills.
And I'm Ozzy Mora. Police and federal leaders telling us 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger kept a digital journal and likely planned the New Year's Day bombing. 8 News Now investigator David Charnes following this every step of the way. He's live outside the Trump Hotel with new information.
And Ozzy and Heather, before setting off this bomb at the Trump Hotel behind me, police say Matthew Livelsberger left behind something that they're calling a digital journal, notes in his phone that said in part that it was time for America to wake up and rally, his words, around President-elect Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And that has led the FBI and Metro Police to believe that this was all planned and all meant to be some sort of stunt. This new video we received today shows Livelsberger charging that Tesla Cybertruck that he would then explode in Kingman before the bombing. It's just one piece of new evidence, including photos and writings investigators found on his phone. Police say this video shows Livelsberger walking around that car, soon to be full of fireworks and consumer explosives that investigators say he actually bought on his way here in New Mexico. Now, writings on Livelsberger's phone indicates frustration with the military. And in one of them, he said, quote, "Fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves." The FBI saying today there is no tie right now, no known tie right now, as to why he chose this hotel or that Tesla.
Exactly. That part does not make sense at all to me. It just doesn't. He's sitting here saying, hey, we need to rally behind Trump. Then he's like, the leadership is feckless leadership, right? Who serve to enrich themselves. Okay. Is he talking about the Biden administration? Possibly. But then it's like, then he goes and gets a Elon Musk Tesla Cybertruck, drives it to Trump Hotel in Vegas, and then sets it on fire. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. Now, I did a whole reaction to this whole video on the secondary channel, please go check it out. It's on the Pascal show clips. Definitely take a chance, take a moment to take a look at that, because there's going to be some other videos coming over there very, very soon, because there's a lot going on. There's so much going on, guys, with this, and it's been it's just been it's been insane. Okay. But I do want to share with you guys the notes that they have been receiving, that they have gotten. Let me get those really quick. I don't have them up, so hold on. So one of them is right here. Let's see. And of course, they said some of this during the press conference, but it says, fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. Let me just blow this up so you guys see this. We are being held by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. Military and vets move on DC starting now. Militias facilitate and augment this activity. Occupy every major road along Fed buildings and the campus of Fed buildings by the hundreds of thousands. Lock the highways around down with semis right after everybody gets in. Hold until the purge is complete. What the hell's going on here? What's he talking about? What does he know? He says, try peaceful means first, but be prepared to fight to get the Dems out of the federal government, and military by any means necessary. They all must go, and a hard reset must occur for our country to avoid collapse. What in the hell is going on here? Who is this person? What the hell is going on here? And that's just one of them. That's just one of the notes that he put out here. He basically is like, shut everything down. Get into these particular areas, like DC, and start shutting it down. What for what reason? What is it that he feels he knows? Does he feel like there is going to be some big attack that's going to be happening in the near future? You got to remember, though, too. Remember, we got what? Today's the 4th of January. The 21st, if I'm correct, if my memory serves me correctly, January 21st is when Trump is inaugurated. He walks into office. So, I'm sorry, but real quick, I know this is going to anger some people. Not trying to split the room. I'm just trying to point something out. Remember J6? Because I got to be careful on what I say here, okay? But remember J6? That day, a couple years ago, that was pretty crazy, right? There was a huge upheaval. A lot of bad things happened that day. Regardless on what side of the fence you are on, a lot of bad things happened. It's the 20th. My bad. Sorry, guys. The 20th, not the 21st. My bad. Okay. We all remember what happened on J6, the 6th of this month, like 4 years ago. Okay. It was bad. Bad. Regardless of what side you look at, right? Pretty bad stuff. So, in my mind, is he basically thinking that in this inauguration on the 20th, I'm sorry for and thank you for the correction on the date. Is he basically saying that he has a feeling something bad's going to happen on the 20th? Even so, even if it is on the 19th, Ra, the creator, just said he's throwing a rally on the 19th. Yeah, if I'm correct, like Waka Flocka, I think is supposed to be performing, like a bunch of things. It's supposed to be a big, huge rally, right? The day before he's inaugurated, before he walks into office. So is he basically saying, hey, I feel like these streets are going to be percolating a lot here soon. Lock it down. Lock it down before people, these Dems, get in there and try to do something unholy. Is that possible? Or is he just saying a whole bunch of mucky muck for the sake of saying a whole bunch of mucky muck. Because those are some very interesting things to say. Shutting the whole city down, basically. Using semis, locking down these highways, locking down these buildings, getting militia, military and vets to get mobilized, to get over to DC to start locking it down. That's interesting, right? Is there something that he knows that we don't know? Like I said, I got questiones. I'm just an inquisitive mother lover. I'm just asking the question. Okay? It's very interesting. All right? There is more. There is more. Very interesting stuff. Here's another one. Another piece of his notes, allegedly, that he wrote. We are the United States of America, the best country people to ever exist. Right now, we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. We are crumbling because of a lack of self-respect, morals, and respect for others. Greed and gluttony has consumed us. The top 1% decided long ago they weren't going to bring everyone else with them. You are cattle to them. We have strayed from family values and corrupted our minds. And I am a prime example of having it all, but never being enough, but it never being enough. A lot of us are just sitting around waiting to die. No sunlight, no steps, no fresh air, no hope. Our children are addicted to screens by the age of 2. We're filling our bodies with processed foods. Our population is too fat to join the army, yet we are facing a war in China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran before 2030. We must take these actions if we are going to make it past the next few years in one piece. We must end the war in Ukraine with negotiated settlement. It is the only way. Focus on strength and winning. Masculinity is good and men must be leaders. Strength is a deterrent and fear is the product. Weeded out those in our government and military who do not realize number 2. The income inequality in this country and cost of living is outrageous. The number of homeless on our street is embarrassing and disgusting. Have some pride and take care of this. Stop obsessing over diversity. We are all diverse, and DEI is a cancer. Thankfully, we rejected the DEI candidate, and we will have a real president instead of Weekend at Bernie's. Wow. We must move on from the culture of weakness and self-enrichment perpetuated by our senior political and military leaders. We are done with the blatant corruption. Our soldiers are done fighting wars without end states or clear objectives. This was not a Terry attack. Got to use that code word. Sorry, guys. It was a wake-up call. A wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and devices that go boom? Why did I personally do it now? I needed to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the lives I took. Consider this last sunset of 24 and my actions the end of our sickness and a new chapter of health for our people. Rally around Trump, Musk, Kennedy, and ride this wave to the highest I don't even know how to say that word. Hegemony? Hegemony? I don't know. For all Americans, we are second to no one. That's what he put out. Huh. Did he really write this? Did he really write this? That's the question I have. Did he really write this? Because another part of me wonders, like, if, because it is kind of two different things. One is one thing, but at the same time, you could be, people write different things all the time. That it's not like they're always consistent in what they write. Sometimes they're saying something profound. Sometimes they're just writing something that, you know what I mean? That's just straight from the hip. That's possible. That just seems, I don't know. I really don't know. He may have written that. He may have had time to write that. And then the second one that we just saw, and the second one here, maybe he was just enraged and finally was like, F it, guys, wake the F up. This is what's going on with our world. Blah, 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 blah. Right? But those two things are very interesting. Now, here's the thing. Okay, we're going to, because we got to get into this Shawn Ryan piece, because I know everybody and their mama's like, Shawn Ryan, Shawn Ryan, Shawn Ryan. So we're going to watch a little bit of that. That was on the docket for sure. Okay. Because like I said, there's a lot to be said here. And I am quite curious about it personally, because of what is being said throughout this thing. Now, as you guys know, Shawn Ryan is a podcast. Allegedly, he received an email that was given to another person, that allegedly is an email from Matthew Livelsberger before this whole thing went down. He breaks, and of course, in this whole interview or this whole conversation, they break down the entire email itself. We're only watching a snippet of this, just so you know. Let me repeat that again. We're watching just a snippet of it because I feel like we're going to watch a good chunk of this on a later show. Because I think it does need its own time under the sun so we can kind of look at all of this. But before we get into everything, what say you? Do you think that what's going on here, those two notes that were found in his phone, do you think that is truly, authentically his notes? Or do you think something different? Because it's possible that he did write those things. Those could have been written in two different situations, okay? That could have been written in two different things, two different moments, two different times. That's possible. That is very, very possible. But it's very odd, nonetheless. But this email allegedly was sent to him, to a colleague of his, before everything went off. And then he said, hey, please don't send this. Don't expose this. Don't give this to the public or to law enforcement until January 1st. So he knew he was going to do something on New Year's Eve / New Year's Day. He knew he was going to do something. And he wrote this letter to this colleague. And now they're talking about this here. So let's take. Yeah, Dolphin, exactly. It's kind of like the sober, non-sober, you know, or mentally even, mentally unbalanced. See what I'm saying? So he could have been like angry or whatever, and you know, writing with passion, and the other one was more like, all right, this is how I feel about everything, and it's a little bit more diplomatic. Still radical, still extreme. But definitely he's like, okay, these are my thoughts, right? That's possible. That's possible. But let's take a look at this. Yeah, I'm going to put up a poll. I'll put up a poll. And I'm only going to play a little bit of this, okay? Because, you know, I'm only going to play a little bit. And I got to cut in and out of this for fair use and all that. So get ready, guys.
You're here today because of an email you received from Matthew Livelsberger a couple of days before the Cybertruck bombing at Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. You'll also be able to discuss what you know about the terrorists who conducted the New Orleans attack. Did I miss anything?
No, that sums it up. Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll give a background on why that's significant so your viewers understand how this came into my inbox.
Perfect. One other thing that I just wanted to say to the audience is, even though we are redacting these names from the episode, you pass that, I believe you passed that email on to the FBI.
Yes.
We're also going to pass it on to our contacts at the FBI. It's very obvious that people know it. Like I said, the CID has been telling everybody. In fact, we talked to Jeremy, who's sitting over there, my producer, me, him, and my attorney, Tim Parlatore. We're up till about 10:30 last night talking to the chief of staff?
The Army Chief of Staff PA.
The Army Chief of Staff's POA took a major interest in this as well. And, you know, one of the things that he said, I'll wait till later to bring that up, but I don't know. I don't trust any of these people. I mean, public affairs officers are there to.
I'll keep my mouth.
Yeah. Create.
PAO is there to protect the command.
Yeah.
100%, nothing else.
Yeah.
They're not there to shed transparency on anything. They are there to protect the command.
Let's recreate what the story is. But, and you know what's interesting? Fuck it up.
Okay, first off, damn. Damn. Okay. We starting off hot. Okay.
I'm just going to say it. You know what he said? He goes, on the call, he said, I didn't talk to him. I didn't want to talk to him. But so add them talk to him. He said, between me and you guys, this guy's DNA didn't match his son. And made it sound like it's some big secret. Then at 9:34 p.m., I think it was 9:34 p.m., the New York Post had a headline that said that so they're trying to make it sound like this guy did this because maybe he found out the son wasn't his. But there's a lot more to the story, as you'll find out. So,
wait a second. That's interesting. Huh. What's interesting about that is I've never heard that. I haven't heard that perspective or that angle that, he's putting this thing out, or like media is putting out some information saying, he's all torn up because, he may not be the father. Like he had a Maury Povich moment. Like he found out that he may not be the father. Okay. You see what I'm saying? And that's why he went and lost his cool and did this unthinkable thing. Woo! That's very interesting. And of course, if that narrative is out there, wow, that's a narrative. But like I said, that would make you go off and take a Tesla, drive off and do this thing. Like I said, make it make sense.
So let's go to you, Sam. Tell me how you got the email.
All right. So for context, I've run this account for the last 4.5 years. There have been people in and out writing articles and different stuff and just investigations, some big, some small, just trying to keep accountability in the military, but developed a robust network within the military, all branches, and people feed into this and send me messages and here and there. Nothing ever like this has ever come in, but it started off as comments. So when you have a big Instagram account, you're going to miss a lot of messages because people message, go to hidden messages and everything else. You miss a lot of stuff. Well, I kept seeing this comment on recent posts that I put in there, and it was from this burner account that said, hey, check your DMs, check your DMs, check your DMs. So I go in there and try to find it. There's no message from this guy, hadn't come through or whatever. And then he messages again once that message was opened up. And I said, hey, your previous messages haven't come through. What do you want to tell me? And he said, what I'm going to send you, now these are literally his words. What I'm going to send you is going to change the course of humanity. That was
what?
Was his phrase, change the course of humanity. Okay. A little bit dramatic. I get these messages all the time. People have this big story they want to tell. They want to expose their command, whatever. I take everything with a grain of salt until I have evidence and proof. So this guy is insistent. He tells me that he is a 18 Zulu who I've spoken to before, and he really needs to get this stuff to me. And then he talks about you. He says, I need you to get me in contact with Shawn Ryan. I'm like, dude, I don't know Shawn Ryan. I'm not that big, but he's insistent that I get him diverted to media sources, says go to Fox News, whatever else. And I said, all right, tell me what you got. So I give him my Proton email account, give him my signal number. And he reaches out immediately. And I'm going to read this initial message for you because doesn't have names or anything else on it, but this was his message on Sunday. He reached out and said, like I said, this last Sunday, he said, sending with a VPN active on Wi-Fi only. Do not message me. I will send out updates via both signal and email, but trust me, you're going to want to be involved. Well, first of all, no, I didn't want to be involved. Anyways. And then, so I didn't message. I responded back to his original Instagram message. And I said, hey, I got your message on Proton Mail. And he said, cool, delete this. So I deleted it. That's how I ended up getting this message on Tuesday. So the message that this right here, this manifesto, if you want to call it that, came in on Tuesday. And when I started reading this, my initial take was, okay, this is off the deep end. It's bonkers. I can't validate or verify any of the stuff in this manifesto. And I told him that in a subsequent email. And I'll read that to you later, my response to him. And once again, my response to him elicited, hey, get me in contact with Shawn Ryan, Fox News, and he even said Pete Hegseth. Get me in contact with Hegseth. And I'm like, dude, I don't have the incoming Secretary of Defense's phone number. Sorry, bro. That's the last time I talked to him. So yesterday morning.
What date was that?
That was Tuesday. That was this Tuesday. So we're Friday now. That was 3 days ago.
So
the day before
30th.
Yeah, the day before the attack. I dismissed this stuff out of hand.
The 31st. It was on the 31st.
Yes. In fact, I posted something on my I told your producer about this as well. But this was a post I made on Twitter. I was just trying to be humorous, off the cuff. It was I didn't mean anything about it. I was just being humorous for my audience. I said, my inbox was especially eventful today. Allegations of war crimes, government anti-gravity technology, and fears about being tracked and watched by the feds. It's always, the world is ending and I have this information that needs to get to the media, and never, how you doing, brother? Everything all right? I was just playing off of a meme.
I mean, well, and of course, isn't that what happened? Like, these drones and all that. I mean, that's what we're allegedly going to get to. So I'm trying to get to the actual freaking thing, man, because a lot of this buildup. Let's get into the meat and potatoes here a little bit. All right. Unfortunately, guys, I'm going to have to wrap up a little bit, in a little bit, not right now, but in a little bit. So I want to get to the meat and potatoes. And don't worry, we will be watching this in its entirety to see what they have to say on a full live, and it will just be focused on this conversation for sure. But I want to give you guys a little bit of what this email says and all that stuff. Okay. But real quick, let me just get these super chats just to break up this a little bit. Caprice, thank you so much for the love. It's not just the innocents, it's the drones too. Yeah. It's yeah, a lot of crazy stuff going on. And of course, even so, what I also am interested about too is what's up with Jabbar? Because we right now are all, of course, understandably focused on Matthew and trying to understand why this dude did what he did, right? But what about Jabbar? What's going on with Jabbar? What's going on with Jabbar? That's what I'd like to know too, right? Wouldn't you want to know that? Because did he leave a note? Did we hear anything about, aside from those videos that he allegedly put on some platform? Is there anything else? And I know the brother spoke out too in a much longer interview. I talked about a little bit of that on the secondary channel as well yesterday. But this is an interesting time right now. So Rianne, thank you so much for the love. Happy New Year, P and Fanburgers. Note to clear confusion. I'm New Jersey, USA, and UK. I'm just using my Europe phone. Oh, okay. I'm the diva of complexity, y'all. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Right on. That's good to know. Okay. But thank you so much for the love. I appreciate that and that clarification. News for God. Thank you so much for love and for being a member. Thanks, Pascal, for being on top of all the important topics. We always hear it first from you. I try. You know, it's not easy, but we try out here. Thank you so much, Nurse for God. Thank you so much. And of course, yes, Vintage for gifting 6 memberships for 5 and 1 memberships, 6 in total. Okay. The Crow, welcome to the family. And Vintage, welcome to the family. Okay. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much for the support. Let's see, what's this? Beautiful Messy Ball, what's up? Thank you so much for the love. This doesn't sound like the same person from email. Yeah, which we're finally going to get into in just 2 seconds. Okay. Mimi, thank you so much for the love. All right. Oh, and that too, man. I forgot about that BS. The tour of his house. We talking about, and when I say this, I'm talking about Jabbar's house. They just raided his home, and then they just let the media walk in that mug like it was nothing. Then yet they went back. 5-0 went back to that house to do more investigations, to do more searches and stuff like that. You're telling me that the house wasn't even if it still was not done, if they were not done securing or getting everything out of there that could have been dangerous, why would you let media go in there? Why would you just say, hey, it's open for the media? Go ahead. Go on. So you had media walking throughout his entire house. Jabbar's home, not Matthew's, but Jabbar's home. They opened it up for everybody to walk in and do whatever the hell they wanted. It's crazy. And then they went back into that place looking for other deadly devices and deadly chemicals as well. What the hell are you doing? What the hell? Okay. I'm still here, guys. I'm still here. I am still here. But make that make sense, yo. Make that make sense, dag nabbit. It just doesn't. Gypsy Sparkle, we're going to get into this here in a second, okay? Thank you so much for the love. I still have zero idea what in the MK Ultra foggy plasmadrome filled skies is going on, Pascal. I hope you make sense of it. Suspicious. All of it is suspicious, Gypsy. All of it be suspicious. All of it don't make no damn sense. Let's keep it a bean. All of it don't make no damn sense. Okay? It just doesn't. And we're all still trying to figure it out. We're just going to hold hands together and figure it all out together. Okay? But let's continue on. Hopefully get straight into the meat and potatoes so we can see what the hell's going on. But damn right. What the hell is going on with the world right now? It's like we walked into a different dimension or something. Okay? But let's continue.
I'm shaking. I can't even think straight. Like, normal day is shot, and I didn't know what I want to do. Do I sit on this? Do I do nothing with it? I've got to tell somebody. I've got to tell the FBI at least, because this is huge. This is all over the news. And then I was like, well, dude, this guy wanted to get in contact with Shawn Ryan, so let me get this to Shawn Ryan, see if I can get with him. And I had a buddy who knew your producer, and we went from there. But
wow. Do you want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m.
Now, again, look at what he wrote and see if it makes sense to you too.
That is Tuesday. He said, in case I do not make it to my decision point or on to the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN, that's Operation Center, our OPSEN location for this activity it is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used a balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comms system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive VBID. Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive VBID. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a VBID was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
You fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice and he goes, you said that word VBID. Can you tell me what that is? For your audience, a VBID, for your audience who has not been in the GWOT for the last 20 years, a VBID is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb that we saw at Trump Tower. So backing up, he says, I am armed and have a massive VBID. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Here's where he gets into the other stuff. And this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcast, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day.
Bang.
U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft and CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with redacted IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110, that's 1st Battalion 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
What is USAP? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. But I checked his credentials on LinkedIn. So that was the first thing I did. I went to his LinkedIn page. First thing I noticed was all of his bona fides were in place. He has all the UAS training from USASOC and everything else. And so I said, okay, at least the guy knows what he's talking about with drones. That was a very rough dig into the guy. But my issue was I couldn't validate or verify any of this information. And I told him that. And how I responded to him was in a subsequent email. I said, this is obviously a very big deal, but I don't have anything to verify this information with. Talking about gravitic propulsion systems without evidence just makes me another UFO talking head.
He's got a point there. He's got a point. And of course, this happened. This was sent on the 31st before everything went down, right? But let's continue. Let's continue. Like I said, I got questions.
Like I'm not going to go on my social media page and start talking about UFOs and anti-gravity systems and everything. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't. And he said, can I get on Fox News Contact on Signal as well as Shawn's show? Hegseth would be good too. That was his last message to me.
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Indeed. Wow. Indeed. Now, first off, okay, before we get, because I can't play the whole thing right now. But I do want to watch this in its entirety as a family when I get a second. But one thing I do want to say, the email is it's questionable. And of course, it's like it could come from anybody. There could be somebody, because right now they're saying that he is operating alone. Again, are we absolutely sure he's operating alone? He sent this to somebody. He trusts that somebody enough to send it to somebody else to be like, hey, I need this to get to Shawn, to Shawn Ryan's podcast. I need to get this to Fox News. Why does he have to get it to such big podcasts and such a big network like a media outlet like Fox News? Why? To put that news out there, to incentivize, to activate people that feel like it's time to start getting rowdy out here in these streets? Like I said, it just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. He sent it to somebody, then that somebody sent it to this guy here, right? Not to Shawn Ryan. This is Shawn Ryan on screen, but the other guy. And then while he is getting that, reading that and getting all that stuff, he's like, yo, I need to get the word out here. Yeah, Miss 86, absolutely. It's like, I need to get the word out. I need to spread the word. Can I get it on his podcast? Can I get it on Fox News? Can I get it out to the places where people are going to listen? Why, though? Why? To sit there and go, let's bring carnage to the streets? It's time to get things started? Like, what is it? Is this their way of, like they say a certain phrase like eggplant spaghetti noodles, and suddenly everyone's like, burger, and then they just go off and do some crazy stuff? Like, what the hell's going on here? Because that's very weird. And then, of course, on top of that, he's like, I can't verify any of this stuff. You're telling me that he's feeling some type of way because of drones, dude? That's the start of it all? But we're going to get it on these platforms so we can get the word out there. For what reason? Like I said, it just seems a bit weird. Let me play a little bit more of what Shawn Ryan says in reaction to this. Okay, I'm going to play a few more seconds of this. All right.
The thing is, what is a gravitic propulsion system?
To be honest with you, it is a fancy term you're going to find in science fiction. You won't find it in any, as far as I know, you won't find this in any kind of official manual or scientific research. This is all science fiction. So, but what struck me is his use. What strikes me now, not then, but what strikes me now is his use of a very specific term that nobody else call it. If you asked me, I would say an anti-gravity propulsion system. That's how I would describe it, because I don't know this stuff. He said gravitic propulsion system.
We looked that up last night too, and all we could find was same thing, science fiction type stuff. But there are some things that line up. One is, like I had mentioned, well, let's talk about the guy's story. Obviously, he had a VBID. Obviously, he was in the military and served. And the thing that he was talking about in 2019, we pulled a report. This is from October 9th, 2019. UN report find alleged drug facilities were not lawful target airstrikes caused significant civilian casualties.
Yep.
The United Nations Special Report, which examines the impact on civilians of the United States airstrikes on alleged drug processing facilities on 5 May 2019 in Afghanistan, determines the operation caused a large number of civilian casualties. The report also examines the legal framework applicable to this incident. In June 2019, the UN assistance mission in Afghanistan, together with representatives of the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission, conducted a site visit to areas impacted by the strikes in Farah Province, Bakwa District, as part of its extensive fact-finding into the 5 May incident. The UN verified 39 civilian casualties, among them 14 children, 1 woman, from multiple airstrikes on more than 60 sites that the United States Afghanistan identified as drug production facilities in Bakwa District and in parts of neighboring Delaram District of Nimraz Province. Moreover, the UN is working to verify credible reports of at least 37 additional civilian casualties, the majority of whom were women and children.
Okay. So then that piece is very interesting, that they're talking about like, hey, or at least in that email, he's like, hey, I saw some things where innocent lives lost their lives while in war, that I was witness to, an audience to those things. And of course, he is overwrought by guilt because of those things as well. But like I said, something is very interesting. Something's very interesting about this. And like I said, there's more to this. And and of course, we are going to look at this more when I get a second, of course. But at the same time, what say you on this? Are you, at least with everything, because there's two different notes, or there's two notes that were on his phone, and then this email that was sent to colleagues of his that ended up in the hands of a popular podcaster, right? I mean, I've never, with all due respect, I didn't know really anything about Shawn Ryan and Shawn Ryan's podcast until this whole thing went down. But shoot, he's pretty popular from what I've seen. You know what I mean? But it's still very interesting that these guys were like, I need to get on Shawn Ryan's podcast. Get me in contact with Shawn Ryan. Can I just get in contact with Shawn Ryan? Get me in contact with him. Get me in contact with news outlets like Fox News. We need to get the news out here. We need to get the information out here. For what reason? Instantly, I side-eye this whole thing, because a part of me goes, well, are they trying to embolden people to go out there and start carnage? Is it? It's very interesting. Then there's another interview by a former CIA agent on his channel that's absolutely insane as well, where she is basically putting in her predictions for 2025. And it doesn't sound good at all. We are going to be watching that as well. Not on this show, of course, but in the later show for sure, because it's crazy what she says in that interview as well. Just the information that she even knows. It's scary. And, of course, we're not here to fearmonger. We're here to inform and let you guys know what the hell's going on. But this is some serious stuff. But I'm wondering what's up with this email. Is this email real? Or is it somebody else trying to get a specific agenda out there? Or is he working with somebody else, guys? Think about that. Could it be that he's working with somebody else? Remember that. Somebody got that email and sent it to this friend, this other guy, not a friend, but this other guy, and said, I need you to get it to Shawn Ryan and get it to Fox News. I need to get in contact with these dudes. So he obviously was working with somebody. Wouldn't you think? But like I said, we're going to watch the whole thing in a little bit. We will be watching the whole thing in a little bit for sure. But this is very odd. Very odd. But I just ended the poll. So 54% of you believe that he wrote those notes. 45% of you guys say something seems a little bit strange. That's really interesting. It's very, very interesting. Some scary stuff's going on right now. I don't know what's going on. And I don't know what this means for the future, what the future holds for all of us with everything in light of all that we've been seeing with our own two eyes. It's scary. Okay. How fitting. War. Welcome to the family. WAR. Thank you so much for coming in and being a part of the family. Welcome to the family. But yeah, I think there's a lot that we need to look into. Yeah, there's a lot we're going to be looking into. Trust me, I'm still curious about what the hell is going on here for sure. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Don't worry, I'll be back on a little bit later on tonight, God willing. We will be discussing more about everything that's going on. There's a lot to look at. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy. So we will be discussing a lot of different things over the next few days because there's a lot going on, okay? But please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on those other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms, make sure you hit that follow button. I'm on Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble. Show some love. Do not forget, subscribe here on my main channel. Go to my secondary channel, please and thank you. Hit that notification bell. Set it to all as well. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And of course, check out PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys. Unfortunately, I got to run off, but we will be talking here very, very soon. Keep your heads on a swivel. Stay safe out there. I love you guys. Let's bring peace back into this country because we need it more than ever right now. Okay? But we'll talk soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.